Greetings, lovely people. Thank you for passing by. Guys, the question of Ghana's stance on foreign policy as we now have a new government is answered and settled. Our new foreign minister is on fire. After the video, I want you to rate his intelligence in the comment for me. I trust you guys. Majority of us Pan-Africans on the continent of Africa, we have been asking these questions of now that Ghana is having a new leadership, what will be our position on key foreign matters, looking at how the former President Akufo-Addo and his government shifted Ghana away from Nkrumah's ideology. The answer is here. My joy in this regard is that at least we now have a president and a foreign minister who are constantly referring to Kwame Nkrumah's visions in their speech, using Kwame Nkrumah's visions to guide themselves when answering questions. Yes, I know you will be amazed after the video. I cannot tell you that we now have a foreign minister who shares solidly the idea of Nkrumah, just like our president also shared. He answers questions intelligently on our position on BRICS, our position on relationship with our Sahel brothers, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. He settled it. Our position on United Africa vision settled. Our position when it comes to dealing with the East and the West is also settled. I will not talk too much, but let me just put you in the right perspective before we go through the video. Under the Akufo-Addo government, our stand on foreign matters have created tension between us and Russia. When our president Akufo-Addo went to the United States and said to the United States Secretary that he wants to work with them to push out the Wagner forces from our region. Additional to that, we have tension between us and the Sahel when he went there and snitched on them in the United States. Another tension also between us and Palestine in regard to his stand with Israel. So his stand created enemy for us, which is a deviation from the foreign policy of Kwame Nkrumah, who says we should be friends of all and enemy to none. He came on board and created enemy for us. So the new government is trying to rectify that mistake. Now, this man you are seeing here, his name is Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. The good thing is that he came from the Volta region where I come from. That is why his intelligence level doesn't surprise me that much, because we Voltarians, we are very intelligent. So if you're a Voltarian, be proud of yourself. Now, Mr. Ablakwa has been nominated by President John Dramani Mahama to serve as Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs. His nomination is currently under parliamentary consideration. The truth of the matter is that nothing is going to change. He is already the foreign minister. Consider it settled. So this gentleman, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, is a member of parliament. He has previously held a position such as Deputy Minister for Information and Deputy Minister for Education, and all these things contribute to his extensive experience in public service. And honestly speaking, when he was nominated, I was a bit disappointed because I thought some judge would be better in that field, but I got it all wrong, guys. So this brought us to his vetting. At his vetting, questions was asked. Now, the people who are asking questions and worry about our relation with Sahel and all that, these are the opposition minority, the Akufo-Addo group, people who hate Kwame Nkrumah together with his visions. So I'm going to play the video of how he answered question in regard to our relationship with the Sahel, question in regard to how we are going to deal with the feeling of ECOWAS about this initiative of Ghana trying to work closely with the Sahel, how ECOWAS feel about it, how are we going to handle it, and question in regards to his position on geopolitics, and also how he's going to balance his view on geopolitics between the East and the West, since he's ideologically aligned with Russia and China. These guys are Soviet guys, people, including Mahama. And the most importantly, economically, question in regards to BRICS and the unity of Africa. And he also pointed out some amazing things happening in regards to the movement of Mahama, which he think will facilitate our movement of unity. So let's go through it. After listening to him, please rate him in the comment, his intelligent level.
Mr. Nominee, I am a bit worried, particularly with the diplomatic posturing of our president when it comes to the Sahel trio and how it would impact on the image of Ghana as a democratic country. What do you think of it?
Well, thank you very much. It's a very important question you have asked. And interestingly, ECOWAS will be 50 years this year, and Ghana is likely to host the 50-year celebrations. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama believes that our regional integration agenda should be pursued and should not be abandoned. And so even though our three closest neighbors, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, broke away from ECOWAS, and only this week their breakaway became effective. ECOWAS announced that they have completed the cessation. We need to be conscious of the fact that as closest neighbors, even though we are promoting democracy and we have all said no to coups. We face serious threats. The threat of violent extremism and terrorism. And so, as good neighbors, President Mahama is of the view that he should not give up on dialogue. Article 40 and Article 73 of the 1992 Constitution enjoins the President and all of us who will be working in the foreign service space that our strategic national interest should always be at the center of our foreign policy considerations. If you have your neighbors who are being totally taken over with extremism, terrorism, and indeed all our neighbors have been attacked except Ghana, and we know that if situation gets out of hand, the economic crisis also worsen, we will be affected. We are trading partners as well, and we have historic ancestral ties. There are many Ghanaians who trace their roots from Burkina Faso, from Niger, from Mali. So it is very strategic for President Mahama to say that I want to help resolve this Sahelian crisis. And that is why he appointed the respected Venerable Flight Lieutenant Colonel Bevlolate, who was an AU envoy on counterterrorism and also has the military clout and very close relations with some of these military leaders. So it is in our strategic national interest, as Article 40 and Article 73 enjoins us, and that is what informs President Mahama's posture when it comes to our three neighbors who have formed AES.
Thank you very much. Yes, we can following up on that. Minister, don't you think that our colleagues within the ECOWAS will be disappointed on the position the president has taken when they also have a different position?
The indications are that our neighbors are rather impressed with President Mahama's approach. They are really impressed that all of them were at his inauguration. And remember that even before President Mahama's intervention, ECOWAS did not just alienate them. ECOWAS took steps to dialogue, even appointed an envoy to try to talk to them to come back. Because some of the things they want to do, have a new passport, have a new bank, a new trading bloc, it will really undermine our quest for regional integration. And the further bastardization and balkanization of the region is not what will help our collective economic interests, particularly at the time we are talking about the continental free trade arrangement, So I can assure you, my respected colleague, that these are steps in the strategic national interest of our country, and it is very welcoming, and I think that we should, as a house, support President Mahama to achieve his objectives.
I want to ask the nominee again. Having worked with AU, attended several meetings, Ghana has always taken a position when it comes to Kosovo and Serbia. When it comes to Sahrawi Republic, we even call them the Western Sahara, and Morocco, and then the Palestine and Israel. I mean, the past government had a position. What will be your position vis-a-vis that of the President John Mahama's position when it comes to these countries, and we all know what is between them?
This is a very interesting question on geopolitics and what should be our geopolitical positioning. And I would like to make reference to our foreign policy, which Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah presented to this House on the 16th of December 1959. He talked about Ghana's foreign policy being positively neutral, that we shall not look left or right, we shall look forward. And that is why, after that, he collaborated with his colleagues to establish the non-aligned movement in 1961. So Kwame Nkrumah said that as much as possible, we shall seek to be friends of all and enemies to none. So our posture will remain same. We will seek to be good friends to all of these countries. But being good friends, as Kwame Nkrumah said on the 16th of December 1959, doesn't mean that if along the line there is a misstep, you engage in some violation of international law, you go against the rule-based order, it does not mean that we will not speak out or point it out to you. That is even what shows that we are really good friends.
The nominee's views are known as a radical left. How is he going to marry his obvious personal ideological leanings and inclination, which he's on many occasions said he's very proud of, in wiggling his way through this complex international geopolitics of the left and right as it relates to Ghana's policy of non-aligned? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, let me place on record that I am not a communist. Of course, I am left of center. All of us in the NDC subscribe to the left of center political ideology because we believe in the welfare state and we believe in humanism to our economic interventions that don't encourage exploitation, particularly by a few elites. So you are right about where I belong ideologically, left of center, which is where my party, the NDC, belongs. So I am very much at home. Having said that, let us remember Kwame Nkrumah's tact and skillful approach to our foreign policy. Kwame Nkrumah was on the left, but he managed to, at the height of the Cold War, a bipolar era, to still get the Americans to support him in the construction of the Okudzeto Dam, and to still have the Russians to help him in building our atomic agency. So that model is what we must adopt. So our friends know where we belong ideologically, but they respect us and they know that we don't mean harm or we don't bear grudge or have any malice. We are friends of all and enemies to none.
Honorable nominee, in the international multilateral arena, it is changing rapidly. Big alliances are reshaping in a very dynamic ways. How do you plan to champion a strong African representation in the international systems?
Well, thank you very much for this well-informed question. So, Mr. Chairman, first of all, the changing global dynamics have to be appreciated. We are clearly now in a multipolar world. We've moved from unipolar to bipolar, now we are in multipolar. We are seeing the growing influence of the BRICS countries. And China is at the center, is right in there in this BRICS arrangement. So I think that Africa should really come to this table in a united way. Imagine what we can achieve, as Osajifo said, if we unite. At the UN, for example, the African bloc is the biggest bloc. We have more votes at the UN, but unfortunately we are not united. We don't vote in a particular way. Different, considerations. And it's the same challenge even with trade. Intra-Africa trade is still hovering under 20%. We trade more with Europe and Asia than we trade amongst ourselves. A very, very sad situation. And that's why Kwame Nkrumah muted the idea of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area in Addis Ababa in 1963. It took more than 40 years for it to now be coming into fruition, albeit in a very slow pace. So my response to you will be that let us unite. And I'm glad that President Mahama has so much goodwill. Look at the number of heads of states who attended his inauguration, and already he has so many invitations. He's just returned from Tanzania, Kenya, and everybody wants to, host him and have a discussion with him. And I think that he has that potential of not only becoming the focal point, a potential AU chairman, to really galvanize Africa and get the African nations to unite, so that together we can have a common position on what the African interests should be. So that would be my approach, going back to the Nkrumah template of Africa must unite. Let's present a common force. And with that, we are talking about a market of about 1.5 billion. If we unite, we will be such a force that nobody can dare mess with us. But the challenge has been disunity, and that is really my philosophical outlook on these matters.
So lovely people, what do you think about this? Let's meet in the comment.